So the session will be live on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. You already gone live, is it right now?
Yes, sir. We are just, yes, we are live now.
Okay, okay.
So I think so we can begin because people will keep coming.
Sure. Just give me a second. I'll just put my mobile shut. Yeah.
So the session will be live on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. You already gone live, is it right now?
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. It actually was repeating what I was saying. Good evening, sir. This is and welcome to live interactions with global change makers. The program is being designed by International Institute of Corporate Sustainability and Responsibility, which is a dedicated training, research and development institute on CSR and sustainability. It is being also supported by SDG Chopal, which is a nationwide initiative along with Niti Aayog for the coming 10 years, wherein they are planning to reach 700 plus districts and 6 lakh plus villages, covering all the 17 SDGs. Dainik Bhaskar is the outreach partner dedicated to the development of SDGs, and Ekja Foundation, which is promoting unanimous growth. Today we have with us an industry stalwart, Mr. A. Balasubramanian, the MD and CEO of one of the leading asset managers in India. He brings with him more than 3 decades of experience in the capital markets, and also someone engaged in philanthropy and social work. Recipient of the CEO of the Year title by the Asia Asset Management in 2018 and 2020, he is also on the board of reputed institutions such as National Institute of Securities Markets, NISM, and Association of Mutual Funds in India, AMFI, to name a few. Congratulations, sir, and welcome on live interactions with global change makers.
Thank you, Harsha, and it's nice to be part of this discussion and discussing about something on the ESG, which of course is a topic which is widely being discussed and pursued by most of the money managers while making investment. And I'm glad to be part of your discussion.
Thank you. I would like to also introduce you with Ms. Luribin Norrell, who has been taking the entire session on value creation by ESG reporting. So we would begin with
nice seeing you, Ludwin.
Sorry, nice seeing you too, sir. I'm very happy, to interact, also with you, and just to tell our participants today, you are being a star, of asset management, in India. And it's a really great pleasure to have a live interaction on ESG and collect your thoughts, your impression. And I'm sure, you'll be central, for, the development of ESG and ESG investing in India. So it's a very great pleasure to have this interaction with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we would like to know more about your journey from GIC Mutual Fund as senior trader, Can Bank Financial Services as senior executive, to the MD and CEO of Birla Sun Life AMC. How has the journey been, and the observations of the Indian economy over the period of time?
It's been an interesting journey, Harsha. I think you are taking me back about 23 years back when I started my career, part of subsidiary company of Canara Bank, and then moved into a GIC mutual fund. And since then, I've been part of the asset management company since 1992. I think if you look at since then, I think one of the things which has remained constant, which of course widely spoken by most of the people, especially while giving a leadership talk, is a change. changes remain constant throughout this 25-year period. Every 5 years or 6 years, we see the way I think we operate, the way I think economy is growing, the way I think the investments world is moving, has seen continuous change year after year. So that's one thing which I will start with that. Second, from the economy point of view, one of the questions which of course people used to ask me, well, you are a trader and then what is the big difference between when you are a trader 90s and if somebody is a trader today? And definitely the information availability at that point of time, you have to go and search for it, right? Information, you have to search for it. I'm not saying Google search. You have to go and do a physical search. You go and visit markets. You actually have a conversation with people. Gathering intelligence was one of the jobs that we all used to do in the past. And that used to be one of the cream job that all of us used to do. Gathering information, gathering intelligence, and then predicting numbers and so on and so forth used to be one of the big tasks. As time progressed, as the technology world got set in, then naturally the time spent for searching for information has come down is more of analytics. I think completely has changed. So from intelligence, which used to have very high power, now it got changed. Now it's actually information available everywhere. And that's something which I think has the biggest change. And third, also with respect to the economy, of course, today there used to be a time where I think from an economic point of view, we used to think actually used to be the high growth economy, but it took some time for the market to get stabilized and start creating a bullish story on Indian economy because most of the global investors are not coming in, and they all start coming in today. FIIs loves India, FDI investments pose in India, and today interest rates are low from high interest rate regime. Just to give you a simple example, when I was a GSC mutual fund, lending at 25% was actually an easy task. And 25%, 20%, 17%, we used to lend money. And today they're all things of the past. Today, if somebody says 17%, it comes only in the PE fund, or maybe a real estate fund. And these are the funds actually would again attempt to give that kind of return. From an interest rates where completely administrated of interest, today is completely free market. So that's the way economy has changed. From an administrated market to a free market, I think things have changed quite substantially. Therefore, so we are living in the new world, and especially post-COVID, it has become a real new world.
Absolutely, sir. Now, it's great to learn the kind of changes that you yourself have seen in the Indian economy. Now, India has been known as a spiritual country and more bent towards socialist economy. Do you think we had already been practicing responsible investment, or is it a concept imported by the West?
See, the responsible investing is something which is which always practiced in some form or other, not so much as is being spoken in the international world, where the people who have been making investments in the international space, they have been not only just making that practice while investing, even the respective economies also are doing that. I'll give you a simple example. United States of America clearly have been shifting some of the manufacturing activities to China and to India to some extent. I think they are reducing their carbon emission sectors and moving towards outsourcing to the rest of the Asian market. Therefore, the problem of one country got shifted to others, and that's why they have been evolving, actually taking care of the environmental related issues with respect to the country in which they are operating. And that's why I think we have been seeing the manufacturing getting shifted. Now, of course, now it's going the reverse. The manufacturing, they want to actually get that back in United States. So this is where I think the things have changed. From India point of view, I think the responsibilities for, I think where India always scores over many other countries much better, because of the philanthropic activities that India does, the spiritual connotation that they bring on everywhere they do it. Definitely there's an element of fear factor. There's an element of fear factor. There's an element of accountability. There's an element of responsibility which they bring in, which is built in as part of the whole system. And therefore, they always think about whatever they do, is it doing good for the nation, is good for the environment, or is it doing harm for the environment? And there are many areas in India. I'll give you one simple example. I used to see many companies when part of the investment world, and those companies were in the leather business or chemical business. And because they use a lot of water, and they used to consume a lot of waters, and they used to release all of these polluted waters in the rivers. There are many such companies in India were closed down, despite knowing the fact those companies were employing large pool of people. They actually providing not only just employment, also providing revenue to the exchequers. There are many companies in India, they were closed down in not today, it's about early 90s. I don't want to give the name of this company. I can still give the name of the company, like South India Viscose in Coimbatore, and some of these, some of the leather companies in Kanpur, and they're all closed down, asked to close down because they were polluting the river, which provides water not for irrigation purpose, even for the drinking purpose. So that's why I think the responsible investment, maybe we do not have traveled at a very faster pace. And given the fact that we are a large populated country, and policy framework is not just driven only at the center, it's also driven at the state level. We need to also, of course, think about providing employment on one side. Second is using it for economic growth. And third is also taking care of the environmental. I think it's been a gradual progression that India has been making because we understand and we are responsible, and broadly the feeling of doing good for the society is also generally is high as a nature.
Yeah, that's a very interesting input. Now, if you are mentioning that most of the corporates which are polluting the Gangas and the rivers were asked to shut down, then they must be more so on the MSME side. Now, Indian economy consists of more medium and small scale industries and who may grow rampantly if FDI is infused. So in order to advocate and implement the concepts of responsible business practices, what steps are investors taking to make them future ready?
Yeah, I think clearly, Asha, I think one of the questions we never used to ask so much in the past about as a money managers, you look at the number which is coming from your P&L, the way your balance sheet is constructed, and then how your capital allocation is being done in order to build your future business growth. So this is the normal way all of us analyze the companies, and then how long this company actually is going to sustain from the business point of view. So one of the questions which of course now comes as part of the investment world is ask a question about your governance structures. Your governance, what kind of social impact you are creating as a company, and then how actually that social impact that you are creating in the company is actually benefiting the sustainability of the business. Sustainability as a theme. See, need not be necessarily the ESG, is about, need not be necessarily about responsibility, it's about sustainability. Sustainability comes actually is the subset of that is of course all the responsible investing, all these things comes as part of sustainability. If somebody doesn't take care of the environment, doesn't take care of the social presence that they need to create, if they don't take care of the governance structure, which is an ESG, all the three factors they don't take into account, the sustainability of the business comes into the question mark. Therefore, they may go to the business. Therefore, they may put the business at risk. While we all as a money manager make the investment in those kind of companies. Therefore, this is a common question nowadays. Comes the sustainability, the focus that comes by applying the principle of ESG, and then how companies are doing it. Employing people who are below certain age, people which are not child labor, and the law has come. The question is how these things are being done, and also the how they are able to actually treat employees from the longer term building a business point of view, and many such things are also now becoming the part of the conversation, part of the analysis, and part of your valuations, on the basis of which even money managers are willing to give a better valuation for companies, those who follow and give importance to ESG as a principle.
So, but ESG frameworks are like opaque right now also, and we have also devised SDG frameworks lately. So each investor has its own matrix. Are they conducive to implement for the corporates, or is it whitewashing to create a USP?
No, see, the conducive is something which I think one has to create it. In the sense that one has to pay attention to an important, whether you call it as a social responsibility, whether it is called it as a governance, all such things now is becoming part of non-negotiable activities which every manager has to take into account. Whether it is the companies, whether it is individuals, everyone has to pay attention to it, whether it is the government activities, right? This is where I think it comes in. So it's not about just it's a tick market. It's not about you agree on certain thing, put a tick mark, is done. It's not like that. I think now it's about more of practicing it and ensuring put it as part of your whole business model. And that's something that I think not only just be done at the shareholders level, the entire the system, part of the whole the chain also understands this and then understands how important they are as part of the system, and then build as part of the processes. So that's something which I think the conducive thing, which of course comes over a period of time. And I must only mention that the way things have changed, the way I think the market, money managers like us are willing to pay a premium for companies who follow these kind of principles. The naturally it also makes the owners of these companies follow such principles, which can give them a good name, good brand, and good valuations at the end of the day, even for them to run an efficient business.
Excellent, sir. So what are the steps that Indian investment companies are taking to attract more FDIs and the policies by our government to be the destination for responsible investments? How can India be the destination?
See, India being the destination, I think we need to have a presence in every segment of the manufacturing activities. And when I mean every segment, I think chemical industry is one of the industry which is of course generally the consideration is polluted industries. I think pharma is one which of course provides a greater output to the global needs. There are many industries which use of course the coal as one of the input. I think the question is, while of course you can't move away from such things, but every company has to be encouraged, which the government of course has been doing it through the policy framework. I think one of the area where in my view the government has done enabling provisions for companies to use from a coal-based thermal power plant to now promoting solar as one of the area of power generation, right? Naturally, coal usages, it pollutes the environment and so on and so forth. So therefore, the policy framework, which is coming from the government, all of them actually is pointing towards making every companies who are operating into become responsible using all these framework, which is being issued by the respective government, respective states. And then third is about creating the right infrastructure, and right approval systems and the monitoring this kind of progress, which also is now comes out of the policy framework, which the government of India has been quite frequently issuing as part of the guideline. All such, if you see, they're all actually pointing towards socially responsible investing as a theme, which becomes a part of the DNA of every organization, and that's where the government is doing it. Therefore, from an attracting FDI investment point of view, clearly, government of India has made a huge progress on these lines to ensure that whoever come from overseas to set up a shop in India, and especially at a time where the government of India has announced 15% corporate tax for those people who are setting a manufacturing unit in India before 2023, is actually that intention that you give them an incentive, you give them a right environment, you give them a right social infrastructure, and also the right framework for them in which they can operate, and bring in some of the best global practices as part of the whole new development systems. In fact, most of the global companies have got shops in India for many number of years, and they have been, of course, successful in building India as part of the manufacturing hub, outsourced entity, is only because the government policies frameworks have been extremely conducive for those companies operating in India. I can take many MNC name. Lever is one of the best name in Unilever. They are one of the best company in India. Indian unit contributes roughly about 22% of the Unilever profitability globally. Bosch is one of the German-based company. They are an auto ancillary manufacturing company based out of Bangalore. This is the only listed company they have in their entire world, which is basically in India. And Suzuki is one of the, again, most successful company. And therefore, there are many companies operating in India, not for the last 10 years or 20 years, been for the last many decades. And they have been very successful in operating India business and still growing because Indian policymakers are quite proactive, conducive in creating the right environment on all these lines, including the social and governance systems.
So understanding that, so which according to you are the most evolved markets in the world for making and deriving responsible investments?
I think naturally, wherever, I mean, one of the assumption I'm making is wherever the public money, pension funds investments are very large, and they are the one who have become extremely careful about investing in business that are sustainable in nature, in the socially responsible investing, and other among the many other stuff. Which basically, US has got a lot of the pension funds who invest actually for longer term benefit. And the same way, UK has got all of these pension funds who invest for long term. And Canada, of course, has got a lot of pension funds who have been investing for long term. So for those kind of investors, because predominantly a lot of money pool is actually coming from that segment of the world, and they have been actually investing the hard-earned money of the retirees, the savers, the longer-term perspective. Then naturally, their dominance of dictating terms actually for these things is very, very high. I'll give you another simple example. Some of the pension funds used to own some of these Indian best of the companies, best companies in all parameters. But unfortunately, those companies have got 50% of turnover is coming from cigarette. It is coming from that. But a good company, good ratios. Anybody looks at the company's balance sheet and ratio, they will say love it because by any ratio that you look at, the companies have become very cheap. But despite that, the company got hammered in the stocks under the principles. Who are the sellers? The people who have been investing in these companies for the longer term for the last number of years. Suddenly, the new framework all these investors are setting in, it doesn't fit the parameter. They like the company, they love the company, they like the balance sheet, they love the cash that they generate. It's a good business, but unfortunately, they have 45% of the turnover is coming from the cigarette as one of the area of things. Therefore, they get punished. So, who has done that punishment? It's come from a global investors who are long-term investors, and suddenly they put them as a negative watch list. Then, when they put a negative watch list, you sell at any price and go away. So that's the way they have done it. So therefore, the influence is coming from, I would say, the Western world.
Okay. So what is the percentage rise in global investors asking for ESG reports since COVID-19? And what, according to you, is the future of responsible investments in the Indian economy?
I think increasingly it would become the way of life. In fact, we as Asset Management Company, we have filed an application with Securities Board of India as a regulator for launching a SSG or ESG fund in India. Again, with that assumption that we need to promote ESG way of investing over a period of time. Of course, we can't just shift it completely. And that's something which we can't do it, given the fact that India is still catching up with these things. And more companies have to also fit the bill with respect to these kind of parameters. And definitely is something which I think India is the most of the money managers will start applying these principles. But once you start applying these principles, then naturally you also act as a change agent. You act as an influencer. You tell the companies, I'm not investing in your company because of the following reasons. Then make the company realize that if they want to sustain the business over a period of not just one generation, if they want to remain as a successful business in the country, in the respective place in which they operate for multiple generations, then they need to also go back to the drawing board and relook at some of the strategy that can fit the bill. And as long as it's value accretive to the shareholders, as long as it's value accretive to the nature in general, most of the companies, in my view, would go for it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I highly appreciate all the questions are very well answered. I would like to open it to all the people who are a part of this discussion. I would like to invite all the questions from them. Yeah, you all could raise the hand. I think so. Ludovin, you would be having some question.
Let's begin, by a very nice. So we had a case here, that among the case studies that I presented to this batch, this week, was actually ITC, which is a fantastic company in India, and has a wonderful sustainability report, very well made and very seriously. However, was, the importance of this case study was actually to balance the fact that despite, a great disclosure, that, I hope that many listed companies, many companies, not necessarily listed, also in India will take as an example. The business, obviously, of cigarettes has been, a no-go because it's a thin stock, right? So a lot of those investors and particularly foreign, investors have, gone out, so exited the stock for that matter. However, and it's like the role of, an investor, with including new parameters today and, mitigating all those parameters, what kind of ESG, our investor we can be. We figure out that, in the version 3.0 of being a sustainable investor, would be bad actually to to penalize those stocks, because they are in stock, they are, into alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, things like that. But how, their business model can be also changing, transforming towards something a bit more healthy. This is the message of those investors who left. It was 20-ish% of the capital of ITC. Now it's close to 14%, which is a huge decrease. And despite being a responsible company. So I think what I explained there was the fact that our ITC did not show how they transform, and they were penalized for that, also right away. There was, instead of having just a little bit, less of this capital flowing away, some would have been maybe convinced to stay if the transformation would have been more convincing. And the other part of FMCG that, ITC is still, a conglomerate, and within the activity they have chosen to be, those activities are not producing any value or any accretive profitability, and maybe it's not convincing here. So what do you think about that? And the second question would be, I'm glad to know that you are also are stepping into being a ESG investor by launching a new fund very soon. What kind of ESG investor you would like to be, and that's just like screening like bad stock, a good stock, or do you want to advocate more and to be happy in a way to influence some of the listed companies to change or adjust their way they do business model, integrating more of the sustainability aspects?
Yeah, I think it's interesting question, interesting observation. I think you took the name of the company which I had referred, but in fact, I think this company is very fact that they generate a lot of cash profit. They generate a lot of cash profit. They contribute the largest to the exchequer, which is the government of India. Globally, also these companies contribute quite a lot of things to the exchequer. And despite that, the people at large consumes, whether it is alcohol, whether it is cigarette, they do consume, and that's why they do it. At the same time, these companies, given the fact they are the responsible as a company, though the business in which they are there need not be necessarily is something one may not like it because it's harmful for people at large who are users. At the same time, these kind of businesses do exist, not just only and everywhere, but how much is the contribution they're giving to the corporate social responsibility. I think they actually work with the society and ensure they are actually provide the necessary support to the mass at large. So they do a lot of the social activities in the lens of health, education, women upliftment, all such things that all these companies are doing. So therefore, somewhere it gets negated. But I think the business itself, underlying business itself in general, is a harmful nature. However, the companies could be good. I think market seems to be, most of the money managers globally seems to be ignoring that kind of stocks despite the available and good valuations because of these reasons. That becoming the way of looking at companies. And in our own case, when we actually did a screening, of course, if you put a too tighter guideline, then you will probably end up selecting a handful of companies in which you can make investment. Then you can never construct a nice portfolio. So in that context, of course, we need to give a bit of liberal. I'm not saying liberal in the sense, as long as the essential impact that they are creating is not very large from the harmful point of view, is limited, and then how they are progressing with respect to the business sustainability is something which I think one of the parameters we can keep, but that's a filtering that we can keep. On the basis of filtering, definitely in our own ESG theme that when we are looking at it, of course of companies comes in the consumer staple space and consumer good sectors, and even the banking sectors and so on and so forth. There are many companies who comes in the space. I think the question is, how do actually, I was jokingly telling somebody, if cigarette is actually harmful, whereas the same treatment has not been given for alcohol companies. And globally, alcohol companies have done exceedingly well, whereas cigarette companies have done badly. So why there is a disconnect? Is alcohol considered as a medicine and therefore is not got impacted in the stock market? And maybe if you consume limited, it can be considered as healthy for individuals and so on and so forth. Therefore, what kind of definition you keep while analyzing some of these companies, and then on the basis of certain backup on either medical related, science related, and that's something which I think if you're able to keep it, then the framework for selection of companies become that much more easier. And this is a specific example of alcohol. When I took the example, we were debating in our investment team about why the hell this ITC is falling, because we were one of the owner at one point of time, and I'm losing money, and we are not selling, but selling is coming from Western world pension funds on the basis of this guideline which I talked about it. But the same set of investors are not reducing the exposure to alcohol producing companies, both in the India as well as worldwide. So then we figured out maybe in that we need to keep some kind of principles on the basis of which you go about selecting investment opportunities.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Hopkins has a question. Dr. Hopkins is the CEO of MHCI International. He's based out of Geneva, and he's been very gracious to be with us today. Yes, Dr. Hopkins.
Yeah, hello.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of your talk. It's a bit chaotic here in Africa today, where I am.
Okay.
But I'm in a nice place, as you can see. That's the picture I have in front of me. I'm sorry for that. But I've got a rather naive question, actually. Something that we founded a year or so ago was the Institute for Responsible Leadership based in London. And we had this idea of setting up an investment fund to invest in companies which showed responsible leadership. My naive question is, given that, what advice would you give to us to go about setting up that fund?
Yeah, I think it's interesting model. I think responsible leadership more than responsible investing. I think responsible leadership itself makes the business to think about the underlying business model in which they have to make the business, create the business, make the business run, and make the business sustainable over a period of time. I think all such companies, I think if you have to take in India, there are many companies who are responsible leaders. If you take the group in which I come from, Aditya Birla Group, is a responsible group in many sense, including creating a larger contribution to the corporate social responsibility being on the table. So this leadership, which come from many groups in India, and they all have the business. They don't never build business for today. They will never build business for tomorrow. They build business forever. And any business that cannot sustain beyond a certain period, they don't get into the business at all. So I think therefore the leadership. I think if you are positioning your fund with responsible leadership, of course there are many groups in India who are extremely responsible, and the business in which they operate not for their one generation. They build the business for 1 or 2 generations. Of course, some will of course move out because of the excellence of some of the product that they may be offering, but not because of anything else. Therefore, it makes sense to have leadership based investment opportunities. Of course, within that you have to of course create a subset market. At the end of the day, our intention is to of course one, investing in a good leadership. At the same time, invest in and then generate return out of that, right? I think the concept is not to socialize the investment itself. Therefore, return generation is a key. Therefore, the subset can be set within that, which is linked to the performance of companies, which is related to the balance sheet and P&L ratios. So it can become an added subset of that.
Okay, well, we're going to follow your advice, and I hope you would allow me to write to you, and I see that you're managing a small sum of $38 billion, which is a little bit bigger than we have in our back pocket right now. But who knows? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Dr. Upadhyay, you have a question?
Yes.
May I invite you?
Yeah, sure. Mr. Balasubramanian,
Yes.
We started in corporate social responsibility long back in 2010 with ESG guidelines. We had the voluntary guidelines. Then 2014, we started the mandatory CSR. And then also last year, March, we had our new guidelines for sustainability and ESG, which are what you call type of a mandatory for the companies to follow, especially the PSUs. Now we are talking about social stock exchange. And then whole set of BRR has been extended to 1,000. Now they are talking about extending it to 5,000. My question to you is, in India, are we a little confused about a lot of things? We are mixing up too many things without understanding that how a small organization, or especially the new organizations, yours is an old organization. I have worked with the social wing of your thing. You can manage it, but can other organizations really manage it? It's becoming so complex. Like I'm here in this field for 30 years. Even today, if you ask me, how do you do reporting for a NGO, or how do I start a NGO? I can't answer that question. So do you really feel we are getting confused and we are confusing others?
I think interesting question, Mr. Upadhyay. I think, of course, what you are saying, of course, if there's no confusion, then there's no point of discussion. So I would assume confusion is best to have, so there can be a debate and discussions, and the solutions can be found. And that's why I see in India we are always developed. Whether it is any policy framework, most of the policy framework, me being part of the financial markets the last 30 years, I always, this commonly I say everywhere, most of the policy framework in India got formed after meeting with an accident. You meet with an accident, then you start introspecting, why did the accident happen? Why this could not have been avoided? then suddenly they will discover, no, these kind of risk management practices are not followed, and therefore it got impacted. And now actually frame a new policy. So that's the way I think it's coming. And in fact, the register of companies in India have been playing a very key role in changing the companies' reporting standards and the way they need to construct their balance sheet, annual report. Even the chartered accountant firms who are also mainly responsible in creation of the annual report for every companies, even they are learning and bringing in changes in the way I think reporting. I'm talking about disclosures, all such things is coming as part of the whole best practices that everyone has to follow. So there's a best practice guideline is being issued by every industry players as part of the high level of transfer. I think we are moving in that direction. So while of course confusion is bound to exist, because under the we must accept that India is a large country, not just even by individual population, even by number of companies which are registered with the register of companies is pretty large, and therefore plus the number of people who are advising these companies will also be pretty large. And what are certain, there are certain things we are learning and doing things, and there are certain things that comes as a part of the borrowing of ideas from Western world and then try and actually implement them. So one of the area I think India has made a huge progress is a regulatory framework in which you operate. When I mean regulatory framework, whether it is register of company that I talked about earlier, MCA, you talk about the CSR, what you mentioned about it. This is one of the best model I think India has created to increase the contribution of every company who makes profit towards their social contribution. This is something which I think India has uniquely has developed this. It's been a huge success since the time it was introduced. Therefore, the corporate involvement in uplifting society has been rising. And within that, as you rightly said, companies like us coming from a larger group, it is actually being taken as one of the special activities, special initiatives. Therefore, they give the fullest of their the energy to give the same importance as they do for any company's creation. In a smaller firms, of course, one has to do it along with their activities. So one of the area, in my view, I think India would probably make a big progress. The next generation is also now coming into place. I think every company are now seeing the next generation. The next generation is actually the new generation, Gen Y generation, technology savvy generation. And then they actually also have very caring in nature when it comes to the question of both serving the society as well as contributing to the sustainability of the environment. So that's something in my view would become a new area of focus by the new generation. I think we are in that path. We are not confused. I think we have so much thing to do, and both on the business point of view, as well as to make your business stay stronger for longer term. At the same time, you need to take into account these kind of things. Plus also, we do have, most of the companies do face the competitive pressures coming from global market with respect to the business becoming obsolete. In such a challenging environment, yeah, I would assume, I think we are trying to do our best. Most of the companies are trying to do our best in order to adjust to the new changing environment around the ESG principles.
I would like to know from you, you mentioned a very important point. I see like DLF, I won't like to name a lot many. The second generation is coming up now. The new generation has come up. And there's some turbulence also. Like say, since I took that name DLF, they at one point of time stopped all the activities. Now new generation is taking its time. So what will be your advice to the new generation? How should they approach this whole question of ESG, regulatory framework, and guidelines? How should they approach it?
Yeah, I think clearly, even the group that you took, I think they are one of the largest contributor to the development of Delhi in general. I think they have done a beautiful work with respect to making Delhi as a city look so beautiful. And they have done, I think clearly from the next generation point of view, it's something, one, it has to be a part of the DNA is contributing to the economy, has to come from, one, making the company generates profits out of providing employment to their people, and the way I think they manage the human resources, in ensuring that the whole team is able to actually contribute and think about not just making profit for the company, also ensuring that they work in an environment which is 100% compliant. I think respecting the regulatory framework, respecting the compliance that they need to comply with, and then respecting build the business as something which I think they has to sustain for the future, and that's something which I think has to come as part of the framework itself. Every company that is following. In my view, the new generation, the learning curve is actually much faster. Of course, the old generation is actually by heart, they are the best. I think old generation, they are the best because they have seen it without having the framework. I think most of the companies, if you look at, I think old promoters in India, if you look at, they would not have probably used this word SSG, ESG, they would not have said anything. At the same time, they have been the biggest, largest social contributor in the country. And you know most of the names in India, and all of them actually by birth, by nature, they're the largest contributor to the social environment. Therefore, the next generation have that part of the gene in any case. Except that they will, of course, have to get aligned to the new terms that are being coined and then align to that. That's something which I think is an easy task for them, and get aligned to them and then take you to the next level. So now they'll have a framework to operate. Earlier, we were doing all such things without any framework. Now, the new generation will have some framework in which they'll operate.
So nice. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other question, or shall we begin the felicitation ceremony?
Hello.
Yeah, hi Harsha. Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Giri. Yes.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Balasubramanian. Actually, I have a question. Like in India, the investment in the national scheme or the PM Care Fund is mostly a large debated issue and still is ongoing. So I feel that one of the things when I was like reading, going to the lot of reading, so for most of the PSUs, just providing or giving the donations to the PM Care is easiest option. Rather, if they could give these donations to the local organizations or the NGO, it could have more tangible and a greater impact on the nearby community. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think interesting, Mr. Arvind. See, every company has got a policy. Yeah. So the immediate policy which most of the companies do have, see, public sector, every company has got a policy, including public sector. Basically, one of the policies actually is, suppose my factory is, say, Mumbai, then I should be in a position to provide the necessary support in and around Mumbai, certain kilometers in which they operate. It could be 100 kilometers, it could be 200 kilometers. The idea is actually is to encourage the employees, not that they want actually only support who are their neighbors. They do want to support actually everywhere they're operating. At the same time, the employees also, they want to inculcate as a habit for them to get involved on contributing to society, get involved in the social activities, and that's most of the companies operate. And that's something which I think is the development of their in and around the areas is a one. Second is each one of them have got policies around. Somebody will focus on, they want actually, the government of India has identified the areas of the uplifting in India, mainly on, say, women upliftment, education, giving a 100% literacy rates, improving 100% literacy rates, and providing healthcare related services and so on and so forth. And skill development. Skill development is another key. And then employability of creating employment for the people who are coming out of the colleges. And finally is the rural development towards the water and other facilities that need to be provided. There are many areas they all identified. Therefore, if you look at the public sector companies, they actually operate in all the segment depending upon what the charter says. If everybody operates in the same charter, then money actually will not get available for some, money will be available for some. Therefore, the PM Care Fund is actually the more of one time. It's a PM Care Fund, which I think now is gone. Yeah, COVID-related issues, it's I think the huge the spending on COVID is coming on two things. One, providing food to the people at large. I think India is a large pool of people living below the middle class income group. So one need to provide during the lockdown period necessary provisions. And second, of course, the respective medicines that need to be provided and giving the full support actually to the entire hospitals. Therefore, the money that is needed in a short period of time is quite abundant, is quite high. Therefore, some money, of course, has gone into the Prime Minister Care Fund from most of the voluntary contribution that has come. Having said that, given the profit pool that exists, that's leaving a lot of money for other activities that one has to undertake. So definitely, your point, what I was saying is most of the companies are following it, and it can, in my view, it should not be just restricted to only to in and out of the area in which you're operating. It should be available for everyone as long as it creates high impact in the society. It benefits real needy people, and it benefits the longer term sustainability of the country in removing certain suffering one may go through in whichever form it is. So that's the way I would look at it.
Thank you for your suggestion and feedback. But I think that the largely debated issue is not about the investment or the donation which either the PSUs or other organizations they give to the PM Care Fund or any other national scheme, but is the impact, that is impact on the paper versus impact on actual. So that is mostly debated thing, and still it will be debated thing, because what I see that if the PSUs are like mostly the largest investors in social responsibility or sustainability in India. And if they could give this to the local organizations or the other organizations, those who are working locally, nationally, with the on whether it's on skill or other activities or related to COVID activities, then it could have more greater and tangible impact. Yes, definitely there are some mandate for the PSU to contribute for the schemes or the areas which have the national importance. So yes, that is my own personal thought.
No, I fully agree with you, Arvind. There are, I think one need to, of course, also take into account. There are many organizations which also gives a birth in the name of social organization. Therefore, ensuring the credibility of firms is something is the key to identifying who are doing the genuine work. They do carry out high impact items. The recent government of India, the provision that they made, I don't think globally it exists. In India, in the last budget, they have announced all the donation that being done, contributions done by either by corporate or by individuals, has to give, of course, a PAN number. That PAN number has to be reported by the recipient of the money to the income tax authorities. And the income tax authorities, they match it. Only after that, you will be given the necessary income tax deduction. And why they have done this, they have also discovered there are many fraud that has also happened during, I don't know, somebody would have done a fraud in the name of social as a concept, and therefore they have to plug this hole. And this is a new concept which has come, which I saw it last year, because I'm also associated with some other social organizations myself. And when this came, I felt happy that genuine organizations who have been getting money from corporates or other contributors will be able to get a larger pie because they do a genuine high impact activities. Therefore, money otherwise is getting diverted to so-called activities which one doesn't know whether it is genuine, not genuine. That's something that will now get tested with this. This new provision has come last year.
Thank you. Thank you for it.
Thank you. We have another question by Mr. Abhishek Kamath. Abhishek?
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. So my question is related to the asset management business. Like we have seen, more number of asset managers globally get, integrating the ESG factors into their strategies. So I just wanted to understand what kind of preference is given. Is it a top-down kind of an approach that is followed, or a bottom-up approach wherein, more of the decision is left to the portfolio managers?
I think here there will be a combination of both. I think one of the questions, if you see Mr. Hopkins asked, that leadership plays a role in bringing in the right impact in the organization, that comes from the top down.
Right.
Because the bottom up is in terms of how the contribution is coming. I think bottom up would take into account how the companies are ultimately delivering their performance, looking at the segmentation in which profit is being generated. For example, some of the example which I took, bottom up is great company, but top down, it doesn't actually contribute to the sustainability theme of the theme we are talking about, the ESG principles, on which it doesn't come. Therefore, such kind of companies are getting ignored. Some people, of course, will completely go by bottom up. The money manager will go by only bottom up. That depending upon how the structure of each of the firms with respect to the vision and mission is being mandated. At the same time, each fund, each asset manager also can run a fund which does not comply with that all. There will be a set of people who would say, no, I don't want to actually put any kind of framework for me to make investment. You invest wherever you think you can make money. And such kind of principles can also apply. And those money managers, of course, has to state upfront that I don't follow ESG this for these following reasons. And therefore, I'll make investments, even if the companies actually skip those things as a borderline case. So as long as it's still told upfront as part of the best practice, as part of the best transparent mechanism that one can create, then money managers would actually broadly apply both top down and bottom up to be part of their investment strategy.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you for answering all the questions so graciously. I hope there are no more questions, or if there are, please let us know. We shall start the felicitation ceremony of a batch from who's taken value creation by ESG reporting. Ludovin has been the lead trainer for the same. I would be sharing I will be announcing the name and sharing the certificate on the screen. Please join us. Sneha, I would request if you could take some pictures as well.
When they take pictures, you may have to say smile.
Absolutely. So may I request Mr. Abhishek Kamath again to come forward and receive his certificate. Mr. Abhishek, would you switch on your camera if possible?
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. It was great meeting always around. So.
Same here, same here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dinesh Puthi. Mr. Dinesh Puthi. Okay. Okay, I guess.
It's not there, I think.
Yeah. He's facing some internet troubles. Miss Akansha Sinha. Okay. So, Akansha, you are there, right? Akansha, am I audible to you?
Yeah, she's there, but I don't know if she can
Yeah,
hear.
not sure. Okay, Shifali. Excellent. So we have someone switching on their cameras.
And she's there.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. I'll just screen share her certificate. Yeah.
It's a Bharati Foundation.
Yeah.
Delhi.
Yes, sir. Good.
Oh, okay. Mr. Kohli is friend of mine in Bharti Airtel, who is a CFO.
Okay.
Your CEO also is a lady, right? Your Bharti Foundation CEO?
Yeah, Mamta Sakia.
Mamta, yeah. I had spoken to her once, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Pali.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, ma'am.
Miss Sheeny Lison.
Yeah, she's there.
Okay.
Earlier Asia International Consulting. Is it from Bangalore?
It's in Delhi.
Oh, it's in Delhi. Okay, okay. Congratulations, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Miss Rini Joseph.
Congratulations, Mr. Rini.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And we have Miss Durga Dande.
Hello, ma'am. You are on mute, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Today was a very informative session. We learned
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Are you by any chance Pune?
No, I'm from Mumbai.
Oh, Mumbai. Okay.
We have an office in Nasik. So Mumbai
Okay.
and Nasik.
Decimal point analytics is actually it's a analytical firm, is it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
So we are into financial research and analytics, and major clientele is spread across the globe. So across Europe, US, and South Africa, Australia.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Have a nice seeing you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would again call out Akansha if you can hear us, and Mr. Dinesh Puthi if you're there. Okay,
From KPMG, right? Akansha from KPMG, right? Yeah.
She's a famous lady. Everyone knows who is Akansha. Akansha?
Hi, am I audible? Sorry, there's a network lag at my end.
Yeah.
Good we have you. So that's.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. It was really insightful to hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you have a problem in the switching on the camera, Akansha?
Yes.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
By the way, KPMG is also one of our auditors.
Yeah.
Okay. And is Mr. Pruthi there? Dinesh Pruthi? No, I think so. He's also facing some challenge. All right. I highly appreciate your...
just one word, to congratulate everyone, on my side. It was a great pleasure to deliver this training and to try to pass on some knowledge and some practicality about, ESG, which is always, difficult because there is no plug and play, as you could, witness. And I hope this is not, disappointment at all, but there is nothing that, you can plug and play. You have, after that, to do your own homework. And as there is no standard for everyone, it lets, some opening to creation or being creative but it's the way I'm sure, Mr. Balasubramanian, would agree with me. It's also a way to what we call, in capital market, to build our alpha. Build your alpha, build your difference, and the way you can overperform by integrating all those concepts at the core of your company strategy, or by analyzing, I'm thinking, for instance, to or participants from decimal point analytics, when you have to analyze a company, to try to dig on how sustainability has been integrated in the strategy, and how it makes a difference, and how integrated with financial aspect has been articulated. So congratulations to everyone. It was a pleasure, and I hope to interact with you in the future. And thank you, sir, for this great interaction too.
Last words also with us, and then we'll have a group picture. We have Mr. Dinesh Puthi now with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, Mr. Puthi, would you please switch on your camera? Yeah, I know you logged in from the iPad. So Mr. Puthi is from State Bank of India.
Yeah.
And sustainability.
Yeah. Congratulations, Mr. Dinesh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Sorry I got late.
No issues.
I was out of the town today, actually.
Oh, okay. You also sit in the same place where the chairman sits?
Yeah, same place, sir.
Oh,
same
okay.
building.
Oh, okay.
So I missed your
No,
I missed the
of course, for you don't miss anything.
Okay. So any last message to all of us, and then we'll take a group picture and then we can proceed.
Yeah. No, thanks, Harsha, to make me part of this wonderful ceremony, and glad to meet with virtually with all of you, especially Hopkins from South Africa logged in, right? And also Vinay, as well as Dr. Upadhyay. Nice to see you. Nice to know it's there. And of course, I must also mention Harsha is the most dynamic girl part of this ESG initiative in India. So I got in touch with her through our corporate CSR team of Aditya Birla Group, Dr. Pragna Ram. It's about a few years back, and that's I think she's the best seller of ESG theme, and make all of us realize how ESG is important. Till such time she got in touch with me, and not applied so much our mind on ESG. We keep doing things, right? We keep doing things, but we don't apply our mind so much in those buckets. And Harsha has been doing a great job part of that. So, and also thanks to me to all the winners. Of course, all of them have come from a reputed organization their own way, and nice to see all of them. And thanks to make me as part of the whole event. Thank you for having me and the part of the celebration.
Thank you for the kind words. May I request everyone to switch on their cameras, and we'll take a group picture for the memories. So Kancha, we can see you a little, though blurred. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Lillian. Thank
Yeah.
you all. Thanks,
You can leave, Harsha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah.